Kelly Chennault became the advisor to General Chiang Kai-shek to aid in military Air Force tactics with the Flying Tigers. Wyman Williams tells us who the Flying Tigers were.
For 6 months, there was a group called the American Volunteer Group, nicknamed the Flying Tigers, who were actually the first Americans to return fighting to the Japanese as we entered World War II.
In attendance to mark the occasion, Texas A&M University System Chancellor John Sharp, President of Texas A&M University Commerce Dr. Dan Jones, and Chennault's granddaughter Nell Calloway said a few words. Junior accounting major Valentin Ramirez says why he attended the ceremony.
Well, it's definitely nice interesting to see something like this. It's definitely an historic event, something that I'm glad I was present for.
Chennault's heroism is felt around the world. There are memorials in his honor in China, Taiwan, and Monroe, Louisiana, where his daughter heads the Chennault Aviation and Military Museum. The original historical marker was presented in 1968 in English, but today they unveiled it in traditional Mandarin and contemporary Mandarin. I'm Janelle Taylor, KETV, Main Media News.
You're watching Studio 122. I'm Kelly Fulton. Joining me now is Wyman Williams from University Advancement. He is a development officer assigned to the College of Business. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for asking me.
Okay. Now, for those of us that have maybe never heard of General Chennault, would you just kind of briefly explain who he was and the impact that he had?
Well, briefly, it's kind of hard to do because it's a long story. But in 1937, he left the Army Air Corps after several years of service, and he went to China at the request of Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek. And what was happening, China was being attacked by Japan. They were being bombed, and they basically had no defense. So they hired Claire Chennault to come and advise them on how to build an Air Force. Well, he did that, and then just before the American entry into World War II, which occurred with the bombing of Pearl Harbor, just prior to that, he had gotten a group of Americans to volunteer to leave the U.S. military and come to China and fight with them against the Japanese. So within days after the Pearl Harbor event, this was the first American force to go against the Japanese. They did that for 6 months under the label Flying Tigers, and they worked in conjunction with the Chinese Air Force that had been developed by them. So Flying Tigers in America are considered that 6 month time period. Chinese people look at Flying Tigers as a much longer period of Americans helping Chinese fight the Japanese. So it's a little different interpretation.
Now, that's such a truly amazing feat, and you know, it all. Well, I guess it didn't start necessarily, but it was helped carried out because of someone right here from the small town of Commerce.
Well, Claire Lee Chennault was born in this town. His family left here soon after he was born, so we can't claim to have raised him. He moved to Louisiana, where his parents were from originally, and that's where he grew up. But the fact that he took his first breath here and that he is a Texan is something very important to us, and we are claiming that.
Absolutely. Now, what exactly was the memorial service today, October 14th, held for?
Well, it was to dedicate an official state historical marker that is quite different from most. In 1968, a regular state historical marker was placed at the birthplace of Claire Lee Chennault, and that's on Monroe Street right here in town. And what we did, starting from a discussion 2.5 years ago, we had a visitor who said, wouldn't that be nice if that were in Chinese? And that started a discussion and a discovery process of what it would take to get it a version, an official state historical marker in some language other than English. So what we dedicated today was a Mandarin rendition of the English language version that's been there for 47 years. And we just made it available to people who are interested in the Chennault story, who wanted to visit the birthplace and didn't happen to speak English but spoke Mandarin.
Anecdote to you,
Now,
they said Dr. B was for the second marker.
accessible to the university and the people of commerce in general, because as many of us know, this university is just a beacon of international students, and hey, maybe they've seen something, if they're coming over from China, maybe they've seen something similar in China, and now they can come over here and see it as well.
Well, and that is something that I learned during the process of trying to get this marker produced, is the reverence that Chinese and Taiwanese have for Claire Chennault. They look at him as a liberator, someone who really helped them defend themselves at a time that they were almost defenseless. And they teach their children and grandchildren the stories of Claire Chennault and what the Flying Tigers did for them. We haven't done as good a job, especially right here in Commerce, Texas. So that's part of the reason for the event, to help community people and university students understand there's a connection here internationally that could be useful for them in the future.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, I was asking you this before, but I would really love to find this out for sure, because I find it super ironic that the Commerce High School mascot is the Tigers, and it's like, wouldn't that be like so cool if they had named it for him?
Well, that did not occur because they were Tigers before that time.
Oh,
and it was sort of an offset for the university's Lions, which of course is 100 years of being Lions now.
Yeah, well, 125.
Well, for athletic program, actually the football program's 100 years old.
Right.
The university's 126 years old this year.
Okay, I got it.
Still really 125 though.
Well, yeah, it's a great looking pin, of course. Yeah, I hope that if I could keep my old parking thing that had the one on it.
It was nice looking, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I had to get the new one. All right, well, Mr. Williams, thank you so much for being with us today and explaining us the life of General Chennault.
Appreciate the opportunity very much. Thanks.
Okay. Oh, all right. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at what the other A&M Commerce students had to say about dedication to General Chennault.
Because Commerce is the birthplace of Lieutenant General Chennault, the Flying Tiger Memorial is being held here in Commerce on Monroe Street, and it's named after a unit that he commanded in World War II.
Extension of something that happened 47 years ago in this town. That is in 1968. A then professor of photojournalism, Otha Spencer, had a state historical marker placed in front of a home that is on the site of the birthplace of a famous World War II hero, and that's Claire Chennault. He was born there 122 years ago in 1893.
Today on Studio 122, I'm Kelly Fulton.
Out of overtime.